but I stuck with it, and it's become a really big part of my identity now. And I also want to thank my AP art teacher, Miss Zimmerman, for always being there and supporting me both inside and out of class, because she was always there to have conversations about art, but also if I was having issues in school, she was there to listen. So yeah.
Michelle, do you have a favorite piece or one that you want to talk about in particular from your portfolio?
Yes. So it was actually one of the first few things that I made. And like most things, it was created at 2 a.m. before the day it was due in my bathroom. And it's called Homage, and it's like a contemplative piece. It's a painting that I made. It's pretty small, like this big. And it's me sitting in my master bedroom with a picture of my parents hanging over. And it's kind of like both a sense of expectation and gratitude for how far I've come, but also all of the pressures that came with that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have another favorite too. I talked about it a little bit, but it's called Breakfast Run, and it's of me in my pantry reaching up towards the top shelf, and I put probably too much detail in it, but I had a lot of fun, and it kind of represented the guilt that I feel for maybe not enjoying my cultural foods as much as I should. And that's the one in his office right now.
That's great.
Yeah.
That is great.
So what inspires you, and who is your favorite artist?
Oof. Who's my favorite artist? I don't know.
Okay.
But I'm taking AP Art History right now. So as I learn about more things, I'm kind of growing my interest in different eras of art. And my inspiration would just be like ordinary things in my life that I probably wouldn't look twice at if I wasn't an artist. Because I look at like clear things are pretty interesting to like paint or try to render, and like highlights on things, really bright things, things that other people probably wouldn't care about, but yeah.
We certainly appreciate you being here tonight to share your victory with us. That's a heck of an accomplishment. You mentioned that you learned some things about yourself, and pretty much post-COVID, we talk about mental health, not just of students, but of our society in general. Did drawing help you through some of that time, and when you reflect on what you learned about yourself, what advice would you give to others in expressing themselves with art?
I would just say, don't be afraid to be vulnerable when you're expressing things creatively, because before this class, I was already pretty skilled technically, but all I would paint was like still lifes of fruit bowls and like pictures of birds, but that didn't really represent who I was. But this class was both like my entryway into like putting deeper messages into my art and exploring those things, even though they might not be like traditionally pretty or something like that.
Marvelous.
Michelle, I just have to say, I do have that art piece up in my office, and if folks don't know, every year I get the great privilege of going around and choosing pieces of art through our K-12 program and having those on display for a year for our executive team to see on a regular basis, and now hearing a little bit of the story when we have team meetings even tomorrow and the next day. Your piece is right up there to remind us of some of your story, and I have to tell you, your artwork is outstanding, and I love art, and it's amazing. But to hear tonight just your depth of understanding of yourself as an artist and your perspective of how you see life, it's even more beautiful. So thank you for sharing tonight with us, and thank you for sharing your artwork. I think it will inspire many more people throughout your life. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you'd like to come up, the board would love to have a picture with you, and we have a gift for you as well.
Thanks, Michelle.
This will be easier to line up.
We're gonna get you a paint by numbers. I trust your judgment.
I'm like not a great photographer, but I take photos for my references. Because another I would always get everything online, but in this class I was so
We got a little,
Yep. Yep. I'm gonna have them come up.
At this point in the meeting, it was a little bit, it's tight back here. At this point in the meeting, we are going to thank the Harmon family for sharing this board meeting with us and doing such a great job of seeing what it's like to be a board member. So we have some gifts for you as well, and we're going to take some pictures of us with you because we're so proud you were here tonight. And then we're going to let you go home and do your homework. Sound good? Okay.
Right up here, we'll give you your. Lacey, this is for you. Thank you for serving tonight as a board member. Angela and Colton, this is has some goodies in there for you as well. Has some goodies in there for you. Thank you.
Gives us all good directions.
Yeah, can you go to the original?
the agenda. The agenda encapsulates the essence of this experience.
Well done. You did a really good job.
You don't want to stay for the 5-year course?
Thank you. That's a good thing. Yes. Lacey, thanks so much. I appreciate you being here tonight.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks for
I do not have my email up,
Thank you,
but I have
We appreciate you guys.
Chris.
Thanks for being
Is it? It's not this one. If it is, then I've already got it. Let me just. I'll just refresh it.
Hit or miss what might come out of this mouth. That was literally a clock history. I wasn't sleeping.
And we normally take a break at this point in our meeting, so if anyone else needs to be somewhere else or has some other things to do tonight,
Appreciate you.
you can make your exit. Our feelings
ladies.
won't be hurt, but if you'd like to stay, you're welcome to do that as well.
Good night.
Thank you all.
Everyone.
Good night.
Franchise. Should probably get that one down.
That's so funny.
Okay. So Jonathan, you have one more item tonight, correct?
Treasurer
Gonna
has
give
it.
it to Sean.
I do. The last item we have under this section is turning it over to our amazing treasurer, Sean Bevan,
Thank you,
to walk us through the 5-year forecast tonight.
Thank you. I don't know if I could give nearly as riveting of a presentation as a state tennis championship or 6 in a row, but we'll give it a try. So, as our board knows, and for the people here at home who may be watching tonight or down the road, we approve our 5-year forecast a couple times a year, once in either October or November, once in the spring. And so basically our 5-year forecast kind of gives us an update on where we are currently and where we're heading with the district's financial picture. And we approve it for a couple of reasons. One, it's a part of our compliance with state rules and laws, and we have to submit that to the Department of Education. But also, and really just as if not more importantly, we look at a 5-year forecast on a very regular basis to help us with our own planning and looking at where things are at in the district financially, both now and in the next 5-10 years. So tonight we actually have, later on the agenda, we have the 5-year forecast on here for approval. So we thought we'd take a few minutes and look at some financial updates. So one of the things we have up here on the screen right now is our fiscal stewardship as our foundational rock. We talk a lot in the district about our three favorite rocks, which is culture, personalized learning, and inclusive excellence. But one of the things we talk not quite as much about, but is also very important, is our foundational rock. And so the idea with the foundational rock being that the three big rocks we have are kind of built and balanced on top of the foundation that is provided by our community and by our constituents to help us do the things that we can do. So first, to look at a little bit of the things over the last year that we have, or a couple of years that we have dealt with in terms of finances. You see up here our E plus R equals O. Again, that is a kind of a shout out to our culture rock. And so we've had the chance to respond as a district financially and operationally to some events that have happened through the economy or whatnot or other places. And so we're going to highlight just a few of those here tonight. And so on the first slide here, we've got a few things that have been impacted by inflation. So our entire community, state, country has been dealing with and responding to the impacts of inflation over the last several months. And we are certainly no exception to that. And our transportation department, over the last couple years since the levy was passed in 2020, we've seen over a 20% increase in fuel costs. So we've had to deal with that in our financial situation. Some of the things we've done there, shout out to Mark Merzanowski and all of our bus drivers. They work really hard to make sure that our routes are efficient. We're providing high quality experience to our students and our families, and also maximizing that efficiency in our bus routes. In terms of utilities, back in 2020, we were able to lock in some rates for our electric and gas. And so we are fortunately, as we've seen that market continue to climb in terms of costs, we are fortunately avoiding that so far. We have about another year left on our contracts with both electric and gas, so we're locked in to there. And again, appreciate Todd and his work and the consultants we work with to help us lock in those rates. In terms of health insurance, over the last 5 years, we've averaged 29%. Sounds like a big number, but that's over a 5-year period. If you average under 6% per year on insurance, not too bad. When you look at national trends, certainly are higher than that. And so as a district, we are self-funded. And so we've seen the benefit of that over the last several years, including over the last 5. But beginning next year in 2023, as part of our last round of negotiations, our staff will begin paying 15% of their premium, up from 10%. And so that will also impact us financially in a positive way. Also, in terms of the economy, we've dealt with the same labor shortages that a lot of companies and industries out there have dealt with. A few examples here of things how that has impacted us and things that we've responded with. In terms of bus drivers, that's a daily challenge to make sure we have enough drivers to transport our kids to and from school, and make sure we're doing that safely and effectively. We have offered a sign-on bonus for our drivers. Once they go through all the training, they come on board, they drive with us for a few months. They do have the option to get a sign-on bonus as a part of a recruitment strategy. And then also once they're in the door, or even for our existing drivers, we have a incentive for high-quality attendance or perfect attendance that allows them to be rewarded for making sure they're here every day and driving and doing things that we need to do. In terms of sub teachers, this goes back even over the last couple of years. We have had sub teacher shortages, so thanks to Tanya and her team, we've been able to increase some of those numbers we have, and definitely thanks to the board for you guys being supportive of the options we've looked at as we've continued to look at the market in terms of what pay rates are in the area and what they are across the community to try to make sure that we are providing a pay package that's attractive enough to bring sub teachers into the buildings. In terms of special ed and specialized aides, that's another category that has been impacted by labor shortages. Again, thanks to the board, we were able to offer some additional incentives there to help us attract and retain aides that can help serve our kids and families. Next piece, as we look at some of the impacts of COVID and some of the dollars that we received there. The COVID money, we did receive some federal dollars. Sometimes you might have heard or seen that as ESSER, ESSER, COVID money that came from the federal government. We didn't receive, if you've watched our board meetings over the last couple of years, you've seen that we went through a kind of a petition process or a process to appeal and try to get additional COVID dollars, because we were not like a lot of other districts that were receiving more dollars. We were successful in some regards in that area, and so we did receive some COVID money. One of the things I will say that I'm proud of and grateful to our board and our team and Dr. Cooper for just working together on this is that a lot of districts that we've talked to across the state, went out and added new programs when they received some of their COVID dollars. And so whether it was, and new programs are they're not necessarily bad. They're probably serving their kids, serving their communities, and all those things are great. But one of the downfalls of new programs on one-time dollars is that once those dollars are gone, then you kind of got a problem of, okay, well, how are we going to continue to fund those, or do we cut those programs? I'm proud to say that in our district, that was not something that we did. Fortunately, again, thanks to a lot of people, our community, our teams, our staff, our teachers, we were able to keep our buildings open and continue to educate kids, and so we didn't have that learning gap or achievement gap that a lot of districts had. And so we were able to keep educating kids here on a daily basis. And so we were able to use our what COVID dollars we did get for things like safety improvements or technology upgrades, or to help pay for our existing custodians who are cleaning the buildings and making sure they were safe for kids, or for our nurses or our mental wellness teams, all those things. And so that also was a benefit for the district and for the community. One of the things I will note as we look here locally is our county commissioners were part of that. So a lot of those dollars came through the federal government and were kind of allocated out through the state. But again, want to make sure that we thank our local county commissioners here. They allocated in excess of $1 million for the district here a couple of years ago to help us pay for some of those COVID or some of those cleaning supplies and things that we needed at the time. And not only that, but they did offer and pay for a nurse that helped us with our tracking and responding and reporting